I want to jump to the new album a little bit. There's some crazy joints on here conceptually. You know, this Letters record is a lot, man.
Yo, thank you, man. That's so funny. I was gonna say, like, that's the one that almost didn't make it, and it's not because I was saying anything controversial, but it was because I was like, this one's scaring the hoes for sure. I'm like,
it's later on in the album, but it's definitely, you know, I feel like for people who haven't heard the record, it's you know, each letter is a letter to a
different church
in a you know, in a different perspective.
Yeah.
So it's like, but you know, it's man, it's a lot, dog. Like when you're writing that record, like.
Yeah, that record that's one of the few that's a punch cut. So I actually didn't put pen to paper for that one, which feels so phony because I keep talking about I'm writing them motherfuckers. But like that was inspired by two works. So a lot of the songs on the album, just for context, are like inspired by some literary works. So either a book like The Negro Problem or Homer's Odyssey for space and time, or you know, from poetry with No More Old Men, or
I felt like Just a Drop was one of those records that felt like I could have read it out loud in a poetry book.
Yeah. I forget how I wrote that in Atlanta. I don't know why. That's one of the like records that came back out of nowhere. That one and Ride towards the end of the sequence in the project, I was like, you know what, we need Ride on there. You know what, we need Just a Drop on there. But like for a while, both of those and a few other ones were not on the record. And even though I made them a while ago,
but Letters, you were saying you were punching in the lines.
Yeah, I'm just but it's inspired by two books. Sort of. One of them is James Cone's book, The Cross and the Lynching Tree, and it's like one of his like most important works in like explaining Black liberation theology. But when I was reading that, I was getting super radicalized for Christ and for my people, and like so I was like, I need to format this at some point. So I had an idea for a song called The Cross and the Lynching Tree, and then I was also inspired by Paul's letters. So in the Bible, like the last like I don't know, like a lot of books of the Bible are letters from Paul to different churches. So you get like, if you've ever heard of Romans or Thessalonians or Corinthians, those are letters to the church in Corinth or letters to the church of Rome or wherever. And so all these letters that he was writing are like these scathing, you know, mad letters to them saying, y'all fucking up. This is not how the church is supposed to be. Right. And explaining them that his life was divinely changed by Christ. So there's like this ongoing Christian meme that may not be in your algorithm.
Probably not.
Where it's like, where the
most like, Christian thing in my algorithm is my guy Miles Minnick.
Shout out to Miles, man.
Yeah.
It's just a joke that like, of like, you know, imagine the letter that the church would get from Paul today.
I felt like that nails the perspective of the record.
That's where it comes from. So the first verse is to my church that I grew up in. The second verse is to the mega churches.
Yeah.
Third verse is to the Black church, which exists in it. And, you know what I'm saying? And then the fourth one is to the body, which is, you know, not to get too deep into theology, but the church is considered the body or the bride of Christ, and Christ is the head, and the body is all of us. So to be church doesn't mean to be brick and mortar or to represent necessarily certain principles. It's just the existence of us and the connection of us working together is what makes up Christ's body. And so like I added that last verse at the very, very end because it used to just be 3 mean ass letters. And my pastor was like, I sent it to him a while ago and he was like, you got to talk about the good that's happening in the church, which I obviously didn't still, but I wanted to like, you know, at least not even sympathize, but empathize with the body because I am the body too.
Are you nervous sending that to your pastor?
I think I was nervous and I was hoping that he was going to be like, oh, it's all good. And then he was like, it's not all good. So there was a long time where I was like, you know, I said partially that I didn't want to do it because I felt like the song be scaring the hoes, but also I was not doing it because I was like, I don't want to persecute Jesus. I low-key just watched a whole sermon on Sunday that was like, you know, talking about how when Saul meets Christ on the road to Damascus, he asked him, why do you persecute me? Which is saying that like by Saul, you know, murdering and hunting down and persecuting Christians. He was ultimately, you know, by attacking the body, he was attacking the head.
Right.
And so I still have feelings about it, you know, but I published the work. I stood on it.
I think it's great.
Time.
And I think at the end of the day, like, I'm not a super religious guy, but I do think that, like, a lot of people who aren't super religious will see, you know, the mega church shit. You know, we think of Joel Osteen not letting people in during the hurricane in Houston. And we're like, wait a minute. You know, and a lot of these mega preachers are MAGA as fuck.
Yeah, 100%.
And it's like, I don't know. I just feel like, you know, religion, I feel like, as you know, I mean, I think that's why I thought it was dope, because it should be, at least in my opinion, and I'm not the person to look for, but it should be like a direct relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like,
100%.
And it's not about, you know, where you go, because a lot of people who are preaching, a lot of these places are, you know, ran by humans, and all humans are imperfect. You know what I'm saying?
100%. And the church is not God. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
The church is us. So we should be a reflection of God, and we should be, you know, we should be giving, you know, the shelter and things that we have to those in need. And we should be, you know, the song is really, really blessed. And so I want to, like, also even take a step back. Like, I'm not at all ashamed of the work.
It's so good, man.
Yeah.
When I listened to it, I was like, yo, this is some shit. This is great.
And what I really want
people aren't
to
doing concepts anymore. I'm like, this was a joy. Like, I felt each verse building up. Like, I was like, okay.
No, thank you, man. Yeah, I feel like I was very intentional about, like, really seeing concepts through. This is a lofty album, and it's a lot that I'm trying to achieve and address and attack at the same time, and being who I am, or however people might see me, without, like, knowing what this music is. It makes it, like, just a lot to do. And so I was really, really careful about my words and what I wanted to say, because I don't want to underaddress or overlook anything.
Can you tell me, you send letters to your preacher? Do you send Speed of Light to Common?
I should have. That, it's so crazy, that record, it didn't used to have the Bobby Caldwell. I'm sorry, not Bobby Caldwell. Am I right, Bobby Caldwell? Why do I feel like I'm messing that up right now?
I don't know who.
Yeah, Bobby Caldwell. Sorry, Bobby Caldwell
sample.
is the dude that sings that sample.
The OG sample.
The OG sample.
Mm-hmm.
And one of my favorite songs, There Are Times,
of course,
when you need someone.
Mm-hmm.
That song has always been in my life, and all of the samples throughout the album are, to me, a parts of my makeup, and a lot of people shared, you know, musical genetic makeup that, like, helps tell this story and helps, like, be the bed or foundation for these messages. And when I was making that song, it didn't have that sample in it, like, for a long, long time. The person who brought that sample to the song was BJ the Chicago Kid.
Shout out to BJ, man.
That's my dog. Like,
hey, man, he was on acid. I think he was on Acid Rap twice too.
Yeah. No, that's like really like a.
He's on this album twice. No,
yeah.
I mean, he's a fucking legend.
Yeah.
He's coming to the Blue Note. They just opened a Blue Note cafe here, and he's coming next month.
I gotta come see that.
Yeah,
actually,
he's incredible.
No, he's like
such an underrated artist, man.
That's another person. We were just talking about the blog era. Like, I remember, like, begging to be in his music video one time. He shot a video with him and GLC. I was probably 15 at the time at the Leader store.
Shot the GLC.
You know what I'm saying? I have Chicago has a very, like, rich musical, like,
for sure,
like, everything. 100%. And so it's like being around certain people just through getting to see them. Like, I watch them ascend. Like, I get to learn so much from them. And then BJ being in my space, he's always bringing, like, you know, a certain, no pun intended, light to the session, and a certain like, spirit of an adventure, of being like, oh, what if we do this? Like, I would never come to somebody's session. I'm not saying that like he did anything wrong. He actually changed the song for the best.
For the better, yeah.
But I would never come to somebody's session and be, you know, singing vocals, like background vocals on it, and then be like, you should put a sample on that joint. Like, what? Nobody says that, but he's like, he's a genius, and he really, like, translated the song. I just had the At the Speed of Light, and then I didn't know what to do for the hook, and he was like, you should put Bobby Caldwell on there. Fire. But I should have. I also, like, remember the day I was in Jamaica. I spent a lot of the time making this in different parts of the world.
Where in Jamaica were you at?
I was in Kingston. I spent
Okay.
a lot of time in Kingston making this album. And shout out to all of everybody. You know what I'm saying?
I love Jamaica.
Man, Jamaica is beautiful, and specifically Kingston is beautiful, and that's not where people typically vacation.
Yeah,
to.
they usually go to Montego Bay or the Grill
on the
or,
north or east side of the
yeah.
or west side of the island. But Kingston is where all the culture, the history,
Right.
the music,
Where Bob Marley's house is.
radical thought. It's a lot of that is there. And I was driving. I was actually with Popcorn, and he rode with us. So the first day that I brought my friends down there, we stopped in Montego Bay, and then we drove down to the other side of the island. When we went down there, Popcorn, like, and all of his homies, we rode in basically a motorcade of like 30 vehicles
That's
and
crazy.
ATVs from one side of the island to the other. And once we got to Kingston, that's when I was got to like really experience what would become the next like 4 trips that we took down there. Was like Kingston is where all of the history and everything is. Yeah, can you bring me those over here?
We got some albums?
Yeah, this
Some
my
hard
manager,
copies?
Taryn, and some
Let's
hard
go.
copies of my album. Yeah, we've been hand to hand in these joints. We got to pop up. I've really been out the trunk with
Can
these
I have
joints.
one?
Yeah, can you have one? Can you buy one?
I'll buy one.
Yeah, of course.
I'll Cash App. Come
Yeah.
on, man. Ooh, there we go.